Now, there is another point that seems to have irked Donald Trump. When it comes to India's purchases of Russian oil, point of irritation that seems to be in the bilateral ties with the United States, and now this is coming in from Rubio himself, the U.S. Secretary of State, who has now mentioned when it comes to saying that global trade, India is an ally, it's a strategic partner, like anything in foreign policy, but you are not going to align 100% of the time on everything. And he, in fact, has been responding to a question when it comes to Donald Trump's announcement of 25% tariff hike and additional penalty for buying Russian military equipment and energy. And according to how Washington was disappointed with New Delhi over this, Marco Rubio has also, meanwhile, has acknowledged that India has a huge energy needs, and that also includes the ability to buy oil and coal and gas and things that need to power its economy. But the problem here is, Srinjoy, Russia, because according to United States, India buys, when it comes to its goods from Russia, it is Russian oil, and according to that, it is sanctioned and cheap, meaning that they have to in many cases, and they are saying that they are selling under the global price because of the sanctions.
There are two things here that have to be kept in mind. The Americans themselves say that when India buys Russian crude, the prices of global petroleum, that is crude oil in the world, stay down. This is something the Americans themselves have said. Secondly, the Americans have said that when India refines Russian crude and sells it to America, America defines it as Indian crude. This is something America has said publicly year after year. So this is something that has to be taken into account. Besides, it must be said that this is the world's largest country, the most populous nation, and this nation has requirements that have to be kept in mind. And the government of India has to do things for its people. If it believes that it needs to buy cheap oil and Russia can supply cheap oil, then India goes ahead. So that's really the bottom line. India buys oil from the United States. That's something that is very, very evident to the Americans. India buys oil from other countries that are allies of America. But India also buys Russian oil because India needs that cheap Russian oil.
But, Srinjoy, when we speak of as far as the back and forth is now concerned, when it comes to U.S. relations with Russia as well, of late, when it comes to the conversations that he has had with President Putin, sometimes he seems to be praising him, sometimes he seems to be calling out, and that is what Marco Rubio seems to be suggesting is the growing frustration that with many other oil vendors also available, India continues to buy oil from Russia.
Well, Marco Rubio, if nothing else, if you look at a lot of people there, he has been seen in India as the adult in the room. And very often he has said things that India agrees with. But he also knows that what America's position vis-a-vis Russian oil was in the past, or was till President Trump said what he did yesterday. And he also knows India's requirements. He knows that America's per capita income is upwards of $60,000. India's per capita income is closer to $3,000.
Yes.
And there are reasons.
And US is irked because they believe that there seems to be, as far as the purchase of oil with Russia is concerned, is the essence that continues to fund the war effort and allowing this war to continue in Ukraine. Well, Srinjoy, thank you very much for joining in.